faith, family, and everything else that matters to you from a godly point of view. Welcome to the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast.
Hey, welcome in. It is another week of the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast. My name is Mark Harvard. I'm one of the pastors here at Clearbranch, and our lead pastor, Jeremy Alva, with us again this week. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here. I think people are probably falling into the rhythm of this thing with us, and I hope that they're enjoying what we're putting out. So try to be timely and applicable and appreciable and all those things. Yeah.
Now, when we record this, we're coming out of, we've come out of Advent. We've had that breather of January, which was the Januariest of Januaries.
Yeah, January all day.
And we're actually recording this the day before Valentine's Day.
Absolutely.
And that's a time, a specific day, a specific season when a lot of people are dealing with feelings of isolation.
Yeah, I mean, I think
if you're not in like that ooey gooey relationship, you feel a little isolated, because it's a whole season built around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come out of Advent, and then of course the Christmas season, and you wind up in this kind of place, even through Epiphany, where people kind of have that tendency to feel that way anyway. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that separation is a little different. It's separation from those who have passed, or those who you long to be with. But in this instance, it's almost a different kind of separation and isolation. It's for what has yet to come sometimes. Sometimes it's for what has been and no longer is. And so there's a lot of that. There's certainly places in the midst of all of these seasons for people to feel separated from. There's no doubt about it. And we see that. I mean, ultimately demonstrated in the number of people that we wind up providing care for, and that we wind up meeting with and talking with and loving and encouraging. And so, which is really kind of the point of our time together today.
Yeah. Exactly. We're going to be talking about pastoral care and the services that are supported through that. Jeremy, I've noticed over the last, I guess the last couple of months, you've been doing a lot of this, and obviously you can't speak into any specifics, but what kind of things are you seeing, just in broad strokes?
Sure. Well, I mean, in the pastoral care realm, and we have to be careful to kind of identify that properly, because though Mark and David and I have all taken classes on pastoral counseling, we are not counselors per se. It's not what our focus was in seminary. And so the care that we provide is, in fact, pastoral care, and it really meets a lot of different needs. Sometimes it's meeting the needs for people who are dealing with grief. Sometimes it's meeting with people who are dealing with difficulties or preparation relative to marriage. We do a lot of premarital care sessions. In fact, Jenny and I do those consistently with couples, and then we also do kind of postmarital care sessions as well. And so, it can really be a breadth of things. Everything from I'm dealing with anxiety and stress, to I'm dealing with a difficult situation at work, to I'm not sure what to do with my my children. I mean, there's all sorts of things that we strive to speak into and care for people in the midst of. Yeah.
And a lot of it is practical, but a lot of it is also refocusing. Where do you take that anxiety? Where do you take that worry?
Right. Well, and you don't ever want to be contrite in your response to these things. I mean, these are felt, difficult, real, emotional, physical, mental situations. And so, though Scripture makes it pretty clear that we aren't really intended to be anxious or worried about a lot of things, simply because of our dependency and recognitions of God's goodness, sometimes that can be easier said than done. And so in the midst of this, a lot of times it's reminding people of God's promises. It's listening as much as it is anything else. Yeah. And because so many people these days don't have somebody that they can be just transparent and authentic with, which is unfortunate. And then it's that place of regrouping on some level for them to be able to apply these things that you discuss, during a session together, where you have these touch points in the future. And so, I always approach it this way. I will offer people 5 different pastoral care sessions. And if we can't make some notable progress within those 5 sessions, then I'm going to make a recommendation that they go see a licensed therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, that they go see somebody else that can help them to feel out what the best method of care is for them. So we're really kind of a launching point for people to be able to wrestle with these difficulties they have in life, and to do it in a place where they don't feel judgment, and where they certainly acknowledge that our desire to offer them care comes from the example of Christ, who offers care to so many in Scripture.
Absolutely. Yeah. And these are, and what you've been touching on are the troubled and the worry ridden. But you also get contacts from people that are, happy, excited for upcoming nuptials.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we deal with those things too. Yeah, for sure.
Walk us through some of that process.
Yeah, for sure. So Jenny and I, for years, have done premarital counseling together. So you get the kind of male and female perspective. And we actually break that up into 5 sessions as well. When we did those programs, we require that for anybody that we're going to be officiating a wedding for. So that means anybody that comes to Clearbranch and desires for us to officiate a wedding, no matter what pastor it is, there will be a necessity for premarital counseling, and we won't have a conversation beyond that until that's agreed to.
Sure.
And so I do those at no charge. We've done that forever as a no charge option for people. But in the midst of that, we'll discuss kind of the scriptural context for marriage. We'll look at everything from Genesis chapter 2 specifically through Exodus 4 and 5. We look at 1 Peter. We look at several different places throughout God's Word, and 1 Corinthians, and we look at these kind of biblical statements of what love is and what relationships are, and this mutual respect, and all these things that are so significant, so that you help people have a good starting point. I mean, one of the most important things I think Jenny and I do is the very first session that we meet with people on, we give them we give people homework, and they'll do scripture reading, and then they'll answer some questions. And the very first session we give them, we ask a question that kind of puts them in this place of tension, where they have to provide a positive feedback and a negative feedback, right?
Yeah.
An affirmation and a criticism to some degree, but not negative, constructive criticism. And we teach them how to have difficult conversations.
Which is
right?
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Because in that era of the relationship, everything is all happy-go-lucky.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, people joke all the time about being in the honeymoon phase. I would argue that the pre-honeymoon phase is probably more idealistic.
Sure.
By the time you move in with somebody, you're married and you're living with this person, you recognize the reality of like morning breath, and that some people are, are morning people and some people are night people, and it may not be, the couple doing both of those things. And so, I mean, there is a level of preparation that goes into that that's really necessary, to be quite frank. So,
with that in mind, what kind of pushback do you get when you tell them about that requirement?
Oh man, it depends. I mean, some people will say, "Yeah, great, we need that anyway," and that's more common than not. You want that kind of response.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I can think of a conversation one time where I had somebody who had said, "Well, we've both been married before; we don't need that." And I thought, well, I mean,
that's why you need it.
Well, and I asked the question: did you guys have, did you both experience this kind of, care beforehand, prior to your last marriage? And neither of them had. And I said, well, I would say that that's an indication that it's beneficial, right? Like there's a point where you can grow, and that's not being critical of relationships that end. It's not at all that. But we want to give people the best opportunity to have success, to have realistic expectations, and ultimately to be able to communicate far better than what they would have otherwise. I think back to Jenny and I. Jenny and I had a unfortunate situation with our premarital counseling where it was supposed to be multiple sessions and it wound up being one. And the pastor pretty much said, "Okay, I know you guys known you for a long time. Good to go. I'll see you on the date." And it was like, well, that was not super helpful. Right. And Jenny and I were probably 11 years into our marriage before we really, really understood what it meant to begin to communicate and to be authentic with each other. And so it would have saved us like a lot of tension and heartache and just kind of frustration, I think, with each other if we had the opportunity to learn how to do these things in advance. And so, I think it's I think it might be as important as anything else is as a couple is moving towards marriage. So
it's practical how-tos for marriage.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's kind of like, people have talked about how they wished high schools would give you like a real life class where it teaches you how to, pay your taxes,
balance a checkbook,
or balance a
change a tire.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
It's like that, but for relationships and for marriage.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's not only about the fighting fair. I mean, I hate to say it that way. It's not about being able to communicate only, but I mean that's certainly a pivotal part of it. But it's also about how you deal with the question of finances, and how do you share resourcing, and how do you recognize the talents or the strengths and weaknesses of your spouse, and then complement those with your own set of strengths and weaknesses. Or how do you deal with leaving home? I mean, so many people are so intricately connected to home that it almost becomes a stumbling block for some as they move out into their married life, where they continue to default to their family as this kind of first point of contact for everything in their life, and the spouse winds up feeling almost like a second class citizen in that relationship. And so we're trying to do all sorts of things to help them have a relationship fortified against the common places of difficulty and tension. So
make each one of them load the dishwasher in front of the other.
Oh, you joke about that.
No, I'm only partially joking.
That's one of the examples that Jenny uses all the time, is that I am such a systematic person.
Yeah.
And so like she picks on me because of the way that I load the grocery cart and the way that I set it on the conveyor belt at the grocery store, because I keep all the frozen stuff together, and I keep all the boxes together, and I keep all the cans together, and that's just how I work. My mind will not let me.
When it's bagged, it all goes
together.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Perfectly sensible. On the other hand, and that's not to say that my wife is not sensible. She is, but Jenny will take it all and just throw it on the cart, and it's like, or throw it on the conveyor belt.
This is
madness. It's like, what is this insanity? Or loading the dishwasher. She will laugh at me because she will load the dishwasher, and then as we're getting close to it being full, I'll be looking at the sink and thinking, okay, I've got 4 more items. How can I make this work? And I will inevitably organize it in a way that gets the stuff in the dishwasher. And she laughs at me. She's like, not necessary. Well, I realize it's not necessary, but I cannot. That's something that's just inherent.
Sure.
So I think those are funny things. And though we joke about it, Jenny and I absolutely think it's funny that we're different in that way. There are some people that might not think that. I mean, think about the way you clean the bathroom. How silly a thing is that? And we're all taught to do that, and then we don't think about the differences that may exist there.
Yeah.
As long as it gets clean, it gets clean. Some people don't see it that way.
There's clean, and then there's Monica clean.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. I like it.
So, if someone is needing to reach out for pastoral conversations like this, how do they do that?
So, I mean, there's several ways. You can certainly come and talk to me, on a Sunday morning after the service. You can send me an email. You can contact us through the website. You can do that through Facebook as well. And you can, I've never made my phone number, hard to get a hold of. So if you've ever gotten an email from me, or my phone number is readily available, you can certainly send me a text and just let me know who you are and what you're up to and what you need, and we'll make that happen. We want to be a resource within this community. And I don't just mean the community of those who attend at Clearbranch. You'd be amazed at how many folks I talk to that maybe go to other churches, or who maybe don't feel comfortable talking to their existing pastor. And that's not my effort to take anybody away from somewhere else. It's just my desire to really provide for people who may just not be comfortable enough.
Yeah.
So
don't let that uncomfortableness stop you from getting a little extra help.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Or for that matter, if you're embarrassed by whatever it is that you're wrestling with, to talk to a pastor that you don't necessarily have to look at every Sunday. That can be beneficial, right?
Huge.
And so you'd be amazed. I mean, we talk to people about everything, as we've mentioned, from premarital to postmarital to anxiety and stress to addiction-based care to grief. Yeah, I mean, you name it. And we are grateful for that. Now, we schedule it. It's not, show up and you immediately provide or receive care, because that might be tough. We may have somebody else we're working with at that time. But if we can't get you in, we will find somebody that can. And I actually do a good amount of work with a dear friend of mine who is a licensed therapist in town. Her name's Amber Chesser. She does amazing work, and I recommend people to her on a regular basis as well. And so there are plenty of opportunities and support systems out there. If you are in need of help, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You don't have to come to church here. We don't have to know each other well, but we want to make sure you get cared for well in whatever that looks like for your specific need. So,
and if you do end up wanting to hang around, we're okay with it.
Absolutely. Well, and that's really cool. I mean, I've got a buddy who is absolutely involved here at Clearbranch now. as a result of care that was provided. And that's not the only time that happens, but like there's just one that immediately comes to mind. And what a blessing that is, and what a testimony that becomes too, right? Like, to see what God does in powerful and tangible ways is awesome. So.
And speaking of that community that we find at Clearbranch, we've got some community things coming up here on the horizon.
Yeah,
right?
We've got lots of stuff. I mean, one of the most obvious is coming up on the 2nd of next month. We've got another opportunity. If you've never been here for a potluck at Clearbranch, man, you need to come. It's going to be a potluck brunch that follows our service on March 2nd. And I can't wait. There's going to be great food, and there's going to be great fellowship. We all kind of leave our small groups behind those days and come together in the cafe.
Yeah.
And the last time we were together, we had about 500 people here for lunch, and I'd love to see that be exceeded. So this will be kind of the week that we get Lent started, and we've got a whole lot of awesome stuff that's going on for Lent too. And so you'll get previews of that. But we cannot wait for the opportunity to spend time with people on the 2nd. So
last time we had one of these, I looked down and realized I had 4 different types of sausage balls on my plate at one time. And
that's amazing.
And it was a fun day. I mean,
that sets the tone for the rest of the week.
You can't have a bad one after that.
That's right. It's pretty solid. I mean, it makes up for anything else.
Browns and
Eggs
so
and
good.
I was amazed at the last one. I've never seen that many forms of like bread. And I mean, there
all
was
of the carbs,
all of the carbohydrates. It was awesome. I mean, there was, you had your breads and your muffins, and
millions of dollars worth of eggs,
pastries and eggs and biscuits and gravy and bacon and ham and sausage balls and fruit. And I could go on and on and on. If any of that sounds good to you and you're looking for a place to hang out and to have a free meal on the 2nd of March, Come and join us for worship at 9:30. Stick around for brunch afterwards. Find a table with people that look friendly. Most of our people are. And mostly. No, I mean, they are. They're amazing. And we
all are. Some just...
Oh, no, absolutely. and if you come and you've never met us before, come see Mark and I. Come see David. If you've got children, we want to get you to meet Melanie. If you've got students, we'll get you to meet Michael. We will get you plugged in and help you find some people that want to be your people. And that's what we're all about here, is building community, ultimately, that's centered around Christ for the sake of transforming the world, right? I mean, that's it. So,
and while you were talking about transforming the world, we've got a big event on the 22nd of this month coming up.
We do. It's going to be awesome. It's coming up next weekend, which is unreal.
Oh my goodness, that's right.
Yeah, and that's our awesome Sleep in Heavenly Peace bed build. We'll be building 50 beds here that'll go to children within the Birmingham area that do not have beds to sleep in. And so they'll not only get the bed frame and the mattress, they'll get sheets and blankets and stuffed animals and all these kind of different things that kind of play a part in that. And if you're in need of those things, you can reach out to Sleep in Heavenly Peace. If you want to play a part in handling or helping with the build, you can register, sign up on our Facebook page.
Yes.
And it's been going out also in our newsletter each week. But please register in advance, because there will be lots of people here that want to make a difference, and we want to make sure that you've got a spot to fit in. So
Exactly. It's going to be an amazing morning. It's going to be amazing. And different ages can help out with that too.
Absolutely.
And don't think you have to be handy. I am not handy. Between my wife and I, she's the one you want helping to remodel the bathroom. You want me making sandwiches.
Look at that. I appreciate your willingness to acknowledge your lack of handiness.
Jenny completely gutted our guest bathroom and from the bottom up remodeled the whole thing using YouTube.
That's amazing.
As the primer for it.
That's really, really cool. I like that. I am handy as necessary. I will totally YouTube a video and figure out how to do just about everything. But Jenny is the encourager. She makes sure that I actually get to those projects, because my honeydews turns into honey don't want tos.
Yeah, I like how you said encourager.
Yeah. She does great. I mean, we took the hey Jenny, I love you, sweetheart. We took the dryer apart. We've got a dryer that's 25 years old, and we took it apart this past week and did some work on it and took care of an issue. And you walk away from it and you think to yourself, wow, I feel accomplished. It's amazing what a can of WD-40 will do. So no, I mean that's just the way it works. And so if you're handy, or if you're not, if you have done woodworking all your life or you never have, if you are interested in coming to either sand pieces of wood or help to assemble things or brand, they use these really awesome brands to brand the beds will sleep in heavenly peace. It's one of my favorite parts. My boys love that.
If you're 60, if you're 14,
yeah,
I mean,
we will find a way for you to plug in, and we want you to be a part of it. So come by, hang out. It will be awesome. So
lots of great stuff going on, Jeremy.
so many things. And this is really just the start of kind of heading into spring, where it gets to be lots of fun. We've got some great series stuff going on. We're beginning a new series. Well, we're finishing up a series this week that's all about vision, and we're moving into a series that's all about mission, which was a component of that vision aspect. And then we'll be moving into Lent, and we're going to give you more of that later. I have people ask me all the time, what's the Lenten series going to be? You will hear about it, I promise.
Yeah.
And you're going to be pumped, and it's going to be applicable, and we're going to be teaching. I'll be teaching on Wednesday nights again through Lent, which is one of my favorite things in the world to do. There'll be some devotional things without giving away too much. There'll be some opportunities to pray. It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned.
One of my favorite times of year.
Yeah.
And here we are right on the cusp of it.
We are, for sure.
So it's been great having you this week.
Always great to be here with you, my friend.
We'll see you back again next week, and we'll see you, as I point at the computer, you listener, again next week as well, right here on the Clearbranch Methodist Podcast.